I mean, last week was pretty good, but of course, with having you back, our resident Olympian, just a little bit of, I guess, if we would call it resident real estate business. Interest rates are still low. I'm in a group on Facebook, and people get in all the time, and they'll say, "Oh, yeah, I'm getting a 3% on blah blah blah. Is that too high?" And we always say, "Are you serious?"
When I got here, it was 18%.
Man, exactly. It's like, you got to be kidding me. No, it's not too high. Get in there, lock it in, stop shopping, get off of Facebook. But there's always a question on whether or not you should buy down your rate.
Is this the article that I put in?
Yeah. You put that in, and I never, if someone wants to buy down their rate, I never talk, I never say, hey.
You and me know we've had practical experience about somebody wanted to buy their rate down, and did they regret it?
Yes, they did.
They did. I got a loan through James, and he told me not to buy the rate down. And I paid, what, $9,000 or something?
Extra. And really, the main reason why I would even advise against it at any moment is because you do the calculation. How much does it cost you? What you're going to save? Do a little bit of, division, multiplication, boom, boom, boom. If you're not going to recoup that money in a certain amount of time, then it's not going to be worth it. And in the case with Steve, rates ended up going down lower anyways, but he can always sit to say that I advised him properly.
I'll tell you the biggest mistake I made with that, though.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, is because it was an investment property for an investment property, I feel that I got dragged into what everybody thinks is the interest rate, the interest rate, the interest rate. And when you do the math, to be perfectly honest, it's so negligible.
For investment properties.
Because I just wanted that cash flow, because I knew I was going to have my bad months, or trying to prepare in case I've got any repairs to make. So that month's going to be a negative, And I feel I got dragged into the mistake that a lot of people make, which is, the cash flow.
And I got to get the lowest, right?
But the truth of the matter is, if you buy a residential property, in all fairness, the first 2 or 3 years, you're not going to make more. You're not going to make that much cash flow on it anyway.
Right. Because that's when you're paying into most of the interest anyways, if you're doing that. Unless you're doubling up a payment or something.
So even with me paying it down at, an extra $9,000 to pay it down, it still didn't help my cash flow.
Not as much as you thought it would have.
No, I mean, the property's gone up since then. That's really where the appreciation is, rather than, the monthly. And the other part is I don't know, but just my opinion is, from a tax point of view, I'm thinking, what I should have done? I should have just gone ahead and took more of a tax break.
Could have. Most definitely could have.
So is there any cases that you feel it should be, like on a refi or anything?
Sure. If you're going to be in your home and, hey, this is my last time doing it, I don't plan on moving, and it makes sense. The cost of it makes sense, because typically you have when you're buying points, a point is 1% essentially of the loan amount. So if you're going to buy that point, and it'll, just for example's sake, if it's equivalent to a quarter of a point discount from the interest rate, if that's going to save you, let's say $80, then you want to just say, okay, for that $80, if that 1 point is going to cost me $1,000, how long is it going to take me to recoup that $1,000? That's what you want to look at it. So you'll be looking at, a little over a year at $80 a month for that. So more than likely, that's going to be worth doing it, because you plan to be in that house for more than a year. But if it's going to take you 6, 7, 8 years to recoup the costs or the savings from what you're going to be paying up front, you may as well not do it. Keep that money in your pocket.
So for some refis, it's not really worth doing it.
Sometimes it isn't. So sometimes when I see someone looking to maybe 1 point, but when they're looking to do 2, 3, 4, 5, it's just it's ridiculously. It's not going to save you the money that you think it would save. You'd be better just saving that money, putting it in your account, for a rainy day, or hey, putting it in some Bitcoin, letting it grow for you. So I'm not going to say you can't buy down points because I think in some cases it will work in your favor.
How about a home equity line of credit?
What about it?
If you
For
want
points?
to, if you want to pull equity out of your home and put it into something else, I mean, is that?
Well, you can do that, and lines of credit you can actually do that. They are very, very beneficial in some cases because you don't have to reapply to be in it. It works like a big credit card. So once you have it open, you use it. You're only paying the interest on what you have drawn out.
And when you use it.
Right. So if you got $100,000 line of credit, but you've only used $5,000, then you're not making a payment on $100,000 versus on a loan you're making a payment over on $100,000. So there's some benefits to that line, those lines of credit that you can use. But I would say I'm not against buying down points, but I always recommend when I look at it, I do the calculation, say, listen, you can do it, or you can keep your money, in your account. Because people don't realize it doesn't really, going from 3 1/8 to 3 1/4 doesn't make as much a difference in payment as some would think that it would. So that's that on interest rates, sir.
And I think that's one of the biggest confusion points from people that are buying houses. There's a lot of people that buy a house for the first time can't understand paying the loan officer, to set up the loan, but there's a lot of work involved in that, finding the right product.
Right.
I think it's very undervalued by a lot of first-time home buyers because they think it's just free. They just think you're there, giving your advice for nothing but setting it up.
You know what I found, and this has really just been here lately since I've been in one of these groups, and this is, of course, no knock on the real estate community, agents that is, but the majority of the customers, they will lean on their realtor to kind of know the loan stuff. Hey, what should I do with this? Or what should I do with that? And sometimes you'll have an agent that they don't know. They are not versed,
and they're taking a throw at it, but don't,
exactly.
And you and me know that they shouldn't be giving loan advice.
They shouldn't be giving it.
They haven't got a loan license. They're not
exactly. You shouldn't be doing it at all. But in this group, man, my realtor told me that such and such and such, and I was like, well, first of all, you need to talk to your loan officer. That's not a realtor question. You need to talk to your loan officer to get that, kind of moving. And any agent that's worth their weight, they would advise speaking to a licensed loan officer. Because I wouldn't talk to real estate. I don't have a real estate license. I wouldn't get in. Talk to your realtor.
And a lot of people don't feel comfortable. Like some agents, not a lot, don't feel comfortable telling people that I don't know the answer to this because I'm not a lender, because they feel like it gives off this connotation that they're not involved in the business. But it's like, it's not my job. I would rather you go to a lender to figure that out. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing.
Exactly.
You don't have to have all the answers all the time.
You don't. You really don't. But it is what it is.
That's very true. That's very true.